Okay. So I've been being gaslit and like drugged and followed around by idiots for years at this point in San Francisco. And they'll have people go around with the shirts unzipped all the way to the bottom. And there's a painting by Norman Rockwell, who among other things did the one with the... He famously changed his mind and was like anti-apartheid. Or not apartheid, but like he was pro-integration, right? And he made these paintings, and 4 of them are freedom of speech, freedom of worship, freedom from want, and freedom from fear. And I'm obsessed with the movie Hackers. Okay? But rather than have anyone talk to me or do anything, they'll pantomime shit at me. They're like, yeah, did you know that Hackers was from, like, you know, Norman Rockwell? Because, like, Zero Cool was freedom from fear, and the chick was from freedom of want, and that one guy with the funny hair was freedom of worship, and then the other guy did freedom of speech, and yes, I also have funny hair. I thought at one point that it had to do with the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse, which is also possible, but it could be the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse if you take it to be the Hanged Man, which is upside down because they're the good guys, which could be also the Norman Rockwell paintings, because, you know, you have famine, but what's the opposite of famine, right? What's the opposite of fear? Or what's the opposite of death? It's the freedom of fear, freedom from fear, and it shows somebody being tucked into bed, and that is, you know, if someone is, you say your prayers before you go to sleep so you don't die in your sleep. And for freedom from fear is, right? So Norman Rockwell did the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse, but the Hanged Man version, which is upside down, but in a good way. And if I act like an algorithm, someone screws me over, and then I immediately go and check or like go and do something about it or write about it. People will go around with their shirts all the way unzipped to the bottom. And it's confusing only because the guy who was the freedom of speech guy in the movie happened to be, and this may be just the this may be just like a litmus test of, oh, are you racist or something? But I'm in the position of Lord Nikon. Who happened to live in the shelter than the guy who was the religious guy didn't like it. Or maybe they were switched. Like one was freedom, maybe Lord Nikon was supposed to be the religious guy, and then the other guy was supposed to be the point here is like, it's just one of those weird, interesting things, but at the same time, it's like, I don't like being gaslit and drugged. It's like, cool, I figured it out because an enormous number of people have, like, played with their clothes around me, but no one talks to me, and as I keep being gaslit and drugged, I have less inclination to want to talk to anybody over time because I keep being abused. So I found out something interesting, which is like, oh, that's clever, but I'm still surrounded by assholes and everything around here is broken. I do shrugging a lot now. I do that quite often. So it's like I went and I bought an apple and an orange, and I weighed them in another grocery store because I didn't believe I was being told the correct weight, among other things because I have no money. And I'm living off of food stamps, and I don't want to run out of food stamps, so I'm poisoned in the shelter. And someone had put Mercaptan on the street, and then like garbage saying they did it, and then walked by with their shirts unzipped when I wrote about it. And then looking at their watch, like, how much longer are we gonna, like, play hackers where we'll allow him to have freedom of speech before he finds 4 other guys that he's gonna hang out with? For self-protection, because apparently you can't have freedom of speech in San Francisco unless you have a cohort of gang members so that you all can, like, do the opposite of the apocalypse. And yeah, they gassed me with mercaptan, which is like a mix of, it smells terrible, but it's also sewer gas, which I imagine is like, again, from hackers, because they yelled at the guy that was in the sewer. And why is it like hackers? Because because they weighed the food in the grocery store and I didn't believe the weight scale, and that's an electronic thing. But it means that that's just one of the ways that you can screw with me. If you screwed with me to something else that wasn't electronic, it would be some other fucking movie. Or some other stupid narrative. It's like you have to find all the narratives to stop being fucked with. And then it makes you seem clever, but you've spent the entire time being drugged and fucked with, so you find a narrative that everyone but you knows about. While all of the buildings here are abandoned and everybody hates each other. Where it's like, okay, why? I just don't understand.